Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with my very long overdue Fallout 76 Wastelanders review. Before we dive into that, I wanted to make a special announcement. We have brand new graphics on the channel. Rest in peace, old cartoon Vault Boy. Hello, a new professional logo. We also have a brand new banner. This banner is designed to represent the games I'm currently playing / reviewing. So as you can see, 76 Wastelanders is in the middle, and that's what we're reviewing today. So it can help you guys stay updated on what you can look forward to on the channel. I'm just really stoked about this new look because it's been actually 5 years. Anyway, with all that out of the way, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe for more reviews. And now, let's get into Fallout 76 Wastelanders. Is this a framework that we can buy into? Let's kick this all off with the story. This all takes place 1 year after 76's main quest, and as the title suggests, Wastelanders have finally returned to Appalachia. They have no idea, though, about the scorched plague or the impact it can bring to humans. It begins with your character trying to convince the two factions, being the settlers and the raiders, to inoculate so that the plague does not continue to spread, and then we repeat past errors. Shortly thereafter, it hones in on rumors of a hidden treasure within the Appalachia that both sides now have a vested interest in. What could they do with this treasure? That is the motivation. So each side has their own story with dungeons, characters, and quests unique to said story. All things accounted for, your adventure through the main content should take roughly 15 hours, and that's not accounting for side quests such as allies or some of the, I put this in quotes, endgame content, end quote, that is available within Wastelanders. While the whole treasure aspect is a good motivation for the particular factions involved in the story, as well as the addition of a new currency to Fallout 76, it didn't grab me as much as I had hoped to. What I did care more about, and I think is more privy to Fallout fans, are characters such as Johnny Weston of the Raiders, who had, my god, easily the best quest in the expansion. What a twist, and it properly built him into a character I loved. Or visiting a Chinese military base hidden underground for the settlers, containing some really interesting world-building secrets. This is where Wastelanders really shines because it aids 76's Appalachia into reaching the potential it truly does have. Now, it's not all about the new. You're going to be going back to old locations as well, and these sort of have a fresh coat of paint. And by fresh coat of paint, I mean you might encounter an NPC or two, so there are new conversations to be had that will help fill out that world. A lot of Wastelanders' main story quests will also bring you to these previous locations that you've been to, so there is a bit of overlap there that may be an issue if you're like me and you already beat the main story of the original 76. You're going to be going to some familiar locations once more, but there is a lot of new content here, which is impressive because all of it's free. Choices are present, and they impact a new reputation meter, aka the grindiest part of this whole expansion. As you aid or hinder the two factions, whether it is through random wasteland encounters, daily quests, or objectives tied to the main story, your reputation will increase or decrease with the respective factions. The higher the rep, the more access you have to better endgame plans, which you can buy by using the brand new gold bullion currency. So you may be asking, what is the real issue with the inclusion of a system that tracks your relations with factions? Well, conceptually speaking, nothing's wrong with that. Some of our favorite Fallout games have a reputation system. However, once the main story wraps up and you're left with a very small set of daily quests that hardly increase the overall reputation meter. By the way, having a low reputation doesn't really negatively impact you in the terms of how factions treat you. It's all based off loot. This is when the grind truly sets in, because now you just want to earn the approval of all these factions. Combine that with a cap on how much gold bullion you can earn each day, one that admittedly I don't think inhibits you as much as, say, the reputation that they give you. It solidifies the overall entrapped feeling that the gameplay system gives off. It feels like 76 is desperate for my attention, forcing me to stay and play each day rather than letting me loose and have at all the exciting new additions to the game. Even if the reputation meter is grindy, just let me go at it and earn a ton of rep. What is the harm in that, at least from my perspective? Quite frankly, it was one of my biggest turnoffs and why I had no problem putting the game down once I reached the end game, an aspect of 76 that Bethesda still has yet to figure out. I truly think this expansion made huge strides forward, as we'll continue to emphasize in this review, but when it comes to creating endgame content, Bethesda desperately needs to inspect their competitors because it can easily continue to kill this game. Once the Wastelanders content is over, I was like, all right, that's it. That was pretty good, but what now? And you start returning to the old vanilla content of 76, which I know not a lot of people, myself included, are fans of. However, don't let this all take away from the fact that there are also improvements brought to long-standing players of Fallout 76. One great example is instance dungeons. These are great because it's a technical hurdle that Bethesda has now leapt, meaning that perhaps we can see better side quests in the game's lifespan. But for now, one of the most immediate improvements is when you get inside these instance dungeons, enemies will scale to your level. This means better XP gains, this means much more fun combat from my perspective, and it also means that a lot of loot will be at your level, which is, once again, one of the core components of the game, and it should be this way. It also shines a spotlight on some of the older mechanics that have been added in Wild Appalachia last spring. A great example there is the Purveyor. He'll take your old legendaries and recycle them for legendary scripts, and these scripts can be used to randomly generate 3-star, 2-star, 1-star legendaries. I'd recommend 3 stars, of course, and it can let you start building your character out in an even better fashion. Alright, so let's get back on track, back to the choices that we started that whole section off with. How much role-playing is there? How impactful are said choices to the story? Let's get into all of that. First and foremost, 76 Wastelanders is not like, say, Elder Scrolls Online, where you have your instant side quests and choices you can make that lead to rewards unique to that quest path. Wastelanders really focuses on making your conversations with various NPCs feel different from others because of just how many skill checks there are. And seriously guys, Fallout 4 should be embarrassed. I hate to drag a totally separate game in a review, that's not my style, especially one that I enjoyed, but it's actually humiliating for Bethesda Game Studios as a whole that 76 officially rewarded my character build much more than Fallout 4 ever did. Checks for intelligence, charisma, agility, strength, quests I've completed, and so on are here, and they're an absolutely welcome addition. Now, here's the sad part about it all. From my perspective, the fun of the skill checks in RPGs is presenting new solutions for the player within the gameplay because they're proficient with a certain skill. For a crummy example here, just hear me out. Imagine a door is jammed. If I have 8 strength, I can fling this door wide open and go into a room that goes around a lot of enemies in a separate room that otherwise I'd have to fight if my strength wasn't high enough. 76 has plenty of skill checks, but they feel somewhat artificial. Most of them just lead to a higher cap reward with your quests, and I can only think of one instance where a skill check got me into an area earlier, as well as one time where I missed out on loot because my intelligence wasn't high enough. Outside of that, these skill checks are just used to access different parts of the conversation and get different responses out of certain characters in the game, but it doesn't really achieve anything. And maybe I sound a bit too spoiled here, but I feel like that's always been the fun of the skill check is, oh man, I have a high enough intelligence, so now X can happen because of Y. It was in these moments that I plummeted back down to earth and was reminded that Fallout 76 is very much an online game. While a lot of quests, dungeons, hell, even the writing is good, the world doesn't react nearly as much as it clearly wants to. The only time it does is during the end of the main quest, where you choose which faction to support, giving you a huge boost in your reputation with them. However, as a test, I screwed over both sides and took everything for myself. A decision that, after all this time spent together, a betrayal would truly warrant some type of retaliation. Hilariously enough, I think I impressed the raiders with my boldness.
You also saved a little girl, stopped Lou from killing himself, and done other good things for us. So, I'm willing to let you live, and even continue to deal with Crater despite what you did.
And in this moment, yet again, I felt the limitation of this game being placed in an online setting. It clearly wanted to do more, but it just couldn't with the system that was in place. Allies have also been added to Fallout 76, and man, the ball has been officially dropped, ladies and jellyfish. The characters here are awesome. They're great. I love learning more about them. A former Blood Eagle dismantling his gang from afar while he overcomes his chem addiction? Yeah, sure. A woman who was stuck in outer space as an astronaut during the Great War and just landed? My God, please, yes. These are such great characters. They offer so much, but their quests, oh my God, man, their quests, they're just mindless, filler fetch quests. They're so boring. It's heartbreaking because I can't emphasize how much I enjoy the characters. And this back and forth fast travel-a-thon where you kill 2 enemies or collect 1 object and then head back and talk to them at your camp just deflates the whole thing. It's a give and take situation, folks. As you may have noted, I enjoyed the world building, the storytelling, the characters, all quite a bit. But for everything I liked, something did manage to take away from that. As you've seen, it's been just back and forth, back and forth. The good news, and this may seem obvious at first, but hear me out, is that 76 is now less reliant on its terminals, audio logs, and notes to tell its story like it originally did. Just like a traditional Fallout game, these aspects are used to add more rather than to be the only storytelling tool in the game. So, for the first time in a while, I found myself more invested in what I was reading and listening to, especially when you're sifting through notes and you find a character connected to all of that. Some characters, as they should be, become more interesting. Combine that with the addition of human NPCs in the original main quest of 76, and even that part of the game can become a bit more interesting for newcomers. I'm not a fan of it because I sort of went through the thick of things with 76, so your perspective may differ, but for me, I just don't enjoy the vanilla content, plain and simple. Tech-wise, it can be hit or miss. I saw SkillUp's review, and goodness gracious, he was way kinder to the game than I would have been if I had that performance. I had 3 crashes on PS4 and 1 bug that kept repeating at the final actual quest of the Wastelanders story. At a point where it could have finished strong and left a good taste in my mouth, I encountered a bug where I couldn't get into the final area, and then one where the intercom just wouldn't work. Given it was nearing 3 a.m. the time of me streaming this, I mean, my patience was already wearing thin, but it was just another reminder that this is still Fallout 76. If you're able to accept this game for what it is now, with Wastelanders implemented, this stuff is great. It feels like it's on the right track. I genuinely did have a good time for the most part, but as you noticed, for every good thing I had to say, there was something bad. And admittedly also, my brain sometimes wondered, what if? However, I don't base my verdict off my imagination. I base it off what I played, and what I played was, for the most part, infinitely better than Vanilla 76. The bright side to all of this is it's an exciting framework. If Bethesda Game Studios can continue to add worthwhile quests, interesting characters, a legitimate endgame, and figure out how to instance side quests or allied quests so that these are a little more truncated, and because of that, they'll be more interesting because they don't feel as fetch questy, I think I'm totally game for this. As it stands now, I may not have adored Wastelanders with all of my heart, but I liked enough of what I played to pay attention to Fallout 76 now. I think the content on my channel spoke for that. I talked about the game for about a week and a half straight. It's not like all my trust has been earned back, but my interest is there. And that's a major step forward for the game that I practically despised up until now. Now, the other thing that we have to factor in is it's $40 on Steam. Meanwhile, if you hop on eBay, whether you're looking for a copy on Xbox or PS4, it's about $10, which I would say go ahead. If it's $10 and you can get it for that price, do it. At $40, for me, it's tough because you got to factor in, are you interested in just Wastelanders? If you are, you're getting 15 hours of solid content, and then after that, it's done. You're back into the vanilla game, and that part of the game I don't think is good really at all. I would say at most, and I think a lot of the 76 community would be disappointed with me, but $20. I think that's a fair price to buy into this framework where you have a good Wastelanders story, a mostly revamped original 76 story. There's a lot of content here. There's a lot of things to do. And if you're playing with friends, some of you may have caught my Kev Do It stream. It is a really good time. But if you're playing by yourself, you're not going to get that traditional Fallout experience, and you'll be able to easily poke holes in it. But if you're just there for a good multiplayer time, this may be worth a pickup right now. But also, I would keep in mind, as I record this video, there isn't a roadmap out. Maybe wait for that and see if the future of the game is interesting to you. Because as it stands now, we don't know what they're going to build on top of Wastelanders outside of that Reddit Q&A. So hopefully you found this review helpful. I apologize, it was long overdue. I gotta be honest, I just got wrapped up in the news, and I had to keep pushing it back. But here we are. And with that, I'll pass it off to you, ladies and gentlemen. How do you feel about 76 Wastelanders? Are you a believer? Are you passing on this game? Are you picking it up? Are you having a good time? Fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Huge thank you to everyone who's been just supporting like madmen there. I just can't put into words anymore, man. It just really humbles me. So thank you guys so much, and I'll talk with all of you soon. Stay sexy, stay active. Love you all. Peace.